Okay then, welcome back troops. Today we are going to be talking about none other than the mighty Hedera Hashgraph and of course the HBAR token. This is going to be a video filled with technical analysis. You guys all know why fundamentally I think Hedera is such a strong project and arguably one of the greatest ever cryptocurrencies to come out of this space, which is still in its infancy and has a hell of a long way to go. There are hundreds of trillions of dollars that are going to be brought on chain, and my best bet, or one of my best bets, is that Hedera Hashgraph is going to essentially enable a lot of that. And we already know that this blockchain is literally, or this distributed ledger, it's not a blockchain, it's a DAG, is ran by some of the largest institutions in the world. And it's a crypto project really made for institutions, and it has a lot of benefits over some of the others out there. But we're not going to talk fundamentally about why we love this project. We're going to be talking about it purely from a price point of view today. And I'm going to be showing you guys on the bigger time frames and the smaller time frames that something monumental is coming for this cryptocurrency. I'll start things off with the larger time frames. So predominantly I am a net accumulator of cryptocurrencies that I think are fundamentally going to change the world, and Hedera ticks all of those boxes. And really we've been doing the majority of our accumulation in what we would identify as phase one. Now, in regards to macro context, how we look at the bigger time frames, we like to break the markets down into 4 phases. We call it phase analysis. It's very, very conveniently named. 4 phases, phase analysis. Phase 1 is your accumulative phase that we think you have broken out of recently on this big move on volume. You cleared your resistance that kept you within phase 1, and you really just came back for a retest that's ultimately going to lead to continuation. That continuation comes in the form of phase 2. So phase 1 is your accumulation. Phase 2 happens after you break out of your phase 1 accumulation range. You'll often meet it with a retest, like we'll show you in just a second, before you then see continuation in phase 2. We've also got that double bottom target taking you to 96 cents. Hedera, in my opinion, is going to multiple dollars. I don't know exactly where, but I personally think it's going to 96 cents and then above and beyond. So all-time highs, I think, are well and truly on the cards this year. So that's phase 2. Then you get phase 3, which is your distributive phase, your top, and then you get phase 4, which is your downtrend. And Hedera is right now on the cusp of going from phase 1 to phase 2. Or it's in that transition period. Just to show you an example of a crypto that did exceptionally well for me, that I was accumulating in a similar fashion to what I'm accumulating Hedera today, we'll bring up the Cardano chart. And you can see, we'll take the draw off, what it is I'm highlighting here. Can you see this? This was your phase 4, phase 1, into phase 2, phase 3, back into phase 4, and then phase 1, I think, for Cardano has started again. But you can see what it is we're highlighting here. And you've just had this initial move, a pullback into your 30 weekly moving average before continuation. And everyone's crying because Hedera at one point was 40 cents. Today it's 16. Tomorrow it might be a couple of dollars. And I can't time every top and bottom in what is a broader uptrend when it comes to the cryptocurrency space. I know many of that have tried and failed miserably. And there's this kind of stigma around crypto where people like to think they're traders. They're not. You'll never see a P&L from anybody claiming that they trade crypto with leverage. You'll never see a real P&L. I'm yet to find one. Which is why we tackle the markets from an investment point of view. You don't need to trade crypto. It can literally 10, 15, 20, 30, 45, 50, 60x, 70, 80, 90, 100x for you. If you pick the right plays. I'm not saying Hedera is going to do that. I just think it's going to do very well. It's an ISO coin, of course. So we know that markets move in this fashion. We've shown you, at this point, tens, if not hundreds of examples. This is Pitney Bowes. Phase 1 accumulation, breakout, retest, then continuation. Compare and contrast that to Hedera. American Superconductor Corporation. Phase 1, breakout, retest, continuation. Compare that to Hedera and where it currently is today. New York Times. We've even got the phases on here for you. Phase 1, breakout, retest, continuation. Compare that to Hedera. Spotify's been a great stock, actually, and this was one of the real strong ones in this recent pullback. Phase 1, breakout, retest, continuation. Compare that to Hedera, and of course Galaxy, which is Mike Novogratz funds. You know, you often get that breakout, that retest before then that continuation. And Hedera is just having that retest, and you've got major upside ahead of you, in my opinion. You're going to be glad you held. I truly do believe that. Also, when we look at Hedera from a dominance point of view, this has cleared all-time highs and has just come back for a retest. And then you'll see continuation. So this looks to now be in an uptrend and having broken resistance. Hedera versus Bitcoin, it's broken all this resistance here, and it's coming back to retest it. Again, the 30-week moving average coming into play on both of these, along with the price chart. You are likely going to see continuation for Hedera, guys, in the coming weeks, literally. And giving me confluence to all of this is what we're looking at and identifying on the smaller time frames in the form of these falling wedges. This is a textbook falling wedge. Do you remember the last falling wedge we called for Hedera? That literally led us into that upside that we had. 1, 2, 3. And then we had this on the back end of it. The same thing is happening once again today. After that initiatory breakout move. 1, 2, 3. You're likely going to get a breakout and real explosive price action to the upside. I'll see if I've got a chart that I'm not drawn all over. Yeah, so this is a better falling wedge draw. And you're running into resistance. Won't be long before you clear this. And the beautiful thing about this falling wedge and everything that we've just said is it aligns with our view of macroeconomically what's going to happen, where we are in terms of those cycles, and also what the king of the space, which is Bitcoin, is currently doing. Bitcoin's about to break out of a similar pattern also. I am telling you, and of course you can't take this check to the bank, but I'm confident on Hedera. Always when it comes to crypto, do your own research. So just because I'm exceptionally confident, I could always be 180 degrees wrong. Sometimes we are wrong on things, sometimes we're right. But I believe that results talk for themselves. We've done very well despite the kind of pullback that we've seen. We still managed to obviously hang on to all our cryptos and of course remain in the profits. And really, I think we're just getting started. Certainly the Hedera Hashgraph weekly chart gives you confidence in regards to that, or gives me confidence in regards to that. And I also think this smaller pattern, this falling wedge that's setting up, is brilliant. And on top of all of this, your volume profiles are just perfect. When you get a breakout from one phase to another, typically it's on volume, certainly phase 1 into phase 2, because this is more institutional smart money that's buying this because they have the money. Big volume. On the pullback, what have we seen? Decline in volume. So who's in charge of this market? The bears or the bulls? The bulls. They're the ones with the volume. And they're the ones that are going to push the price from where it currently is today to the upside on compressing volume that will lead to an expansion in volume. Just like what we saw over with this falling wedge here. You saw volume compress, you saw an initial uptick, and then you saw the expansion. You'll see this compression here, and then you'll see an expansion. When you're looking at a falling wedge pattern, really what you're looking at is a compression in price action. So Bollinger Bands are essentially entirely centered around this. Your Bollinger Bands squeeze, and you typically get a volatile move to either way. That's how you get these. That's kind of what these falling wedges are telling you, that's to come. And again, that's in line with our broader thesis of the space as a whole. It's in line with HBAR dominance, HBAR versus BTC. Big time frame, small time frame, fundamental trajectory of this technology. I can't be more bullish on HBAR if I tried, but genuinely don't care whether people buy it or they don't. That's entirely up to them. I'm just a huge fan of this project. I'm a technical analyst, and I see a great pairing with the HBAR chart and my love and understanding of the cryptocurrency space, and think that this is going to do exceptionally well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, as always. I've seen this playbook play out time and time again in terms of phase analysis. The smaller time frames, I think there's a real great setup. And actually, you've got confluencing cryptos with the same technical patterns that also happen to be ISO, which is interesting. Just today, I filmed a video also on XDC. You got that pattern on Bitcoin that we looked at. Let's drop down the time frames here for XDC. You can see this one's already starting to break out. Hedera is very shortly, in my opinion, going to have its turn. It's time in the sun. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's breaking this. I think we've got an amazing couple of weeks ahead of us. There will be some sort of fundamental news that people say, oh, well, that's why it happened. But technically, we can see the footprints in the sand. I think the fundamental news perhaps could be ETFs. And Hedera is one of the first in that lineup. And it wasn't on my bingo card on the back end last year for the likes of Eric Balanchunas and James Seyfarth and Bloomberg to really put it forward as one of their favorites for one of the first to actually have a ETF. And that's all coming. You're going to see a lot of institutional adoption on the back end of all of this. Guys, that's it from me. As the little Apple emoji was saying there, thumbs up, like, comment is always appreciated, guys. Let me know your thoughts on Hedera. We're unbelievably bullish. We've set out technically why we believe that's going to be the case. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you've got anything contrary to what we're saying. We shall see. Time will tell. I'm a big believer in the person having the last laugh is the one that having the longest. And I think People are way too focused on day-to-day price action rather than week to month to year price action. Be an investor, not a trader. 99% of people that try to trade cryptocurrency space lose money. If you can find somebody that doesn't, learn from them, but make sure they can actually prove that equation first. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.